everybody, from Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles. We bid you welcome to Reds baseball. The Reds and the Dodgers wrap up season's play against each other today. And again, to reiterate what we've talked about for the first two games of this series, a mighty big one for John McNamara's ball club. Winners by 10-7 and 10-2 scores in the first games of this series. The Reds now find themselves 3.5 games back of both the Dodgers and the Houston Astros, who are now tied for first in the Western Division. On the mound for the Reds today, and after his 11th win, Mario Soto, right-hander Dave Goltz will pitch for Los Angeles. And we'll be back to take a look at the starting lineups in just a moment. That was John Davidson singing our national anthem. If you're ready now, the starting lineups. First for the Cincinnati Reds, leading off and playing center field will be Dave Collins. Batting second, right fielder Ken Griffey. Dave Concepcion will play shortstop and bat third. Hitting fourth, George Foster in left field. Danny Dreesen will be at first base, batting fifth. Hitting number 6 at third base, Ray Knight. Joe Nolan will catch. He'll hit seventh. Batting eighth, Ronnie Oster at second base. And batting ninth and pitching for the Reds, right-hander Mario Soto. Again for Cincinnati, it's Collins in center field, Griffey in right field, and Concepcion at shortstop. Foster in left, Dreesen at first base, Knight at third. On the bottom third again, we'll have Nolan catching, Oster at second, and Soto on the mound. For the Dodgers, to lead it off at second base, Davey Lopes. J. John Stone will be in right field and bat second. Steve Garvey will hit third. He'll be at first base. Batting in the cleanup slot for L.A. and left field, Dusty Baker. Ron Cey will play third base, batting fifth. Hitting number 6, his first start in this series, in center field, Gary Thomason. Steve Yeager will catch and bat seventh. Hitting eighth at shortstop, Darryl Thomas. And batting ninth, the Dodgers pitcher, right-hander Dave Goltz. Again for Los Angeles, Lopes at second base, John Stone in right field, and Garvey at first base. Baker in left field, Cey at third base, Thomason in center field. With Yeager catching, Thomas at shortstop, and Goltz pitching. Well, in order to get the win, Mario Soto is going to have to wade through the big timber in the Dodger lineup. Steve Garvey, Dusty Baker, and Ron Cey in the last half of inning number 9. Tomorrow night, the first of a 2-game series against Dave Bristol's San Francisco Giants. We'll be on the air with the pregame shows at 10:05 Cincinnati time tomorrow night, as Mike Lacoste and Al Hargesheimer hook up in the series opener. The Dodger faithful come alive as Garvey's name is announced. Steve is singled, doubled, and drawn a walk. The hottest hitter in the Dodger lineup. Soto sights a sign. He delivers to Garvey, and Steve takes it away, a ball. Outfield deep, playing Garvey to pull. Soto's 1-0 to the plate. Taken for a strike. Tommy Hume again throwing in the Cincinnati bullpen. Soto doing a little landscaping on the front slope of the mound as Nolan stands up behind the plate and now drops back down into the crouch. The 1-1 pitch. Garvey swings and fouls it back. Mario got in on him with that pitch and got in enough to take away Garvey's power as he rockets one back onto the screen behind the plate. Well, you've heard it so many times before against the good hitters. If you plan on pitching him in, you better get it in. Don't make the mistake of getting that ball just a little bit out over the plate. 1-2 coming, and it's up high, 2-2. All important, this man right here. Soto rocks, kicks, and fires. And he's low with it, 3-2. Here comes Concepcion in behind the mound. John McNamara getting Tommy Hume ready. Soto was ahead, but has now fallen behind to Steve Garvey. Dusty Baker kneeling on deck as the Red shortstop runs back to his position. Nolan sends out the sign. And Soto Garvey backs away from the plate, trying to break the rhythm of Mario Soto. Now they're ready. Garvey fouls it away. Three balls, two strikes and holding. 2-1, Cincinnati, last of the ninth inning. Steve Garvey leading it off. Soto bringing it. Garvey pops it up, but out of play off first. Soto with 10 strikeouts and 2 walks has limited the Dodgers to 4 hits and a run. The pitch. And he hit him with it right on top of the helmet. And the ball bounces all the way into the seat. Off to the left of the plate. Soto has one get away from him, and Garvey's all right. It was a glancing blow that ricocheted into the seats to the left of the plate. So Steve Garvey aboard. And Dusty Baker at the plate as we pause for station identification on the Cincinnati Reds Baseball Network. Meeting breaking up on the mound, and Tommy Lasorda has taken the opportunity of lifting Steve Garvey in place of Jack Percotti. Young second baseman coming on to pinch run. He's got good speed. Here's Dusty Baker, 0 for 2 with a sacrifice fly. The pitch to the plate, Baker bunts foul off first. Now you can see how badly Tom Lasorda wants to win this game. You got your home run leader up there trying to advance the runner into scoring position with a bunt. But play it by the book. There's a throw to first, and Percotti dives back into the bag. Ronnie Oster about even with a bag at third. Dusty Baker waiting on the one-strike pitch. He squares to bunt and puts it down first base side, up with the ball, and here's a throw to first. He threw it away. Soto throws it away. Percotti rounds third base, and now the ball gets away from Ken Griffey. Percotti will score to tie, and Baker goes to third. The ball bunted right in the foul line. Mario Soto went over to pick it up, and it looked like there was some disagreement as to who was going to play it. Soto finally threw to Junior Kennedy and threw it away, having to throw right into the runner. The ball got by, went down the right field line. Ken Griffey went to foul territory to pick it up. And the third base coach, Danny Ozark, had held up Percotti momentarily, but then the ball got through Griffey. They wave Percotti to the plate, and Baker goes to third. Meanwhile, John McNamara out arguing with Doug Harvey, and I can't imagine what this might be about unless he's arguing interference. But the Dodgers now with a golden chance to win the ball game, with Baker at third and nobody out. Scoring a sacrifice bunt for Dusty Baker, a throwing error on Mario Soto, and another error on Ken Griffey. Now John McNamara coming out of the dugout and going to the mound, and you would anticipate a pitching change here. A weird set of circumstances as Baker dropped a bunt that was right on the skin portion of the foul line, and it stayed fair. Nolan broke out from behind the plate. Soto came off the mound. There was a crowd down there as Baker went by. Mario picked it up and threw past Junior Kennedy into right field. Percotti was at first held up at third, But then when the ball eluded Ken Griffey for an error, Percani was waved to the plate for the tie, and Baker goes to third. So a 2-2 game with nobody out, the winning run at third, and Tommy Hume will come on to relieve Mario Soto. Law batting .260. With a home run and 23 RBIs, the infield will pull in tight, the outfield will play shallow. Dave Concepcion now waving Foster a little bit farther back in left field and more toward the line. Tommy Hume from the stretch delivers to Rudy Law, and the pitch is swung on and missed. He went after it. Law with a chance to wear the laurel of hero for the Dodgers. He's 3 for 12, batting .250 as a pinch hitter. Runners lead. The 0-1 to the plate. Law bounces foul outside of third. He's behind 0-2. An unenviable task confronting the ace of the Cincinnati bullpen. 0-2, the count on Law. Hume kicks and throws. Rudy swings, fly ball, shallow center. Sam Mejias makes the catch, and nobody will try to go anywhere. Sam, with that shotgun arm of his, brings it back where it's cut off behind the mound by Dave Concepcion. So that's one of them. And now it's Darryl Thomas. Thomas, who has struck out twice and hit a high bouncer that Dreesen made a leaping stab on to get him on the put out at first in the 7th inning. Again, the infield staying in, the outfield playing shallow. Hume to the plate. Thomas taking. Ball 1. Moving on deck to bat for pitcher Valenzuela, Mickey Hatcher. 1-0 on the switch-hitting Darryl Thomas, batting left-handed, of course. The pitch. In at the knees, strike call. The Dodgers and the Reds are tied at 2-2. Thomas trying to find a hole. Hume with a 1-1 pitch. Swung on and line foul past third. Ronnie Oster leaping to try and pick it off as the ball sailed past. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Concepcion with a quick word for Hume. Picks up the rosin bag, slams it down, and heads back to shortstop. Dreesen, Kennedy, Davey, and Oster. Up tight. Thomas looking out toward the mound. Baker, Say, and Thomason lead. Here's the pitch. And a bouncing ball to shortstop. Concepcion kicks it away, comes to the plate, got him. Davey momentarily bobbled the ball, but recovered and came up firing to Nolan for the force on Baker. Two away. And Mickey Hatcher will bat for Valenzuela. Tommy Hume 2/3 of the way home. The right-handed batting Hatcher hitting .238 with a home run and 5 RBIs. The pitch to him, check swing, it's high for a ball. Baker out at the plate, 6-2, Concepcion to Nolan. The bases remain loaded. The 1-0 pitch, swung on and fouled at the plate. If we go to the 10th inning, and Tommy Hume doing some kind of job of trying to extend it to a 10th, the Reds will be hitting off lefty Steve Howe. Hatcher waving the bat around. Hume pitches, and it's taken high, 2 balls and a strike. Ron Say now, the big man, he's at third base. Hatcher fouls it off. It's 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, bases loaded, 2-2 tie in the home 9th inning. Infield back at normal depth, the outfield likewise. Hume looks to say, delivers to Hatcher, pops him up foul, out of play off first. Hatcher as a pinch hitter. He's delivered 3 times in 16 attempts. Doug Harvey getting a new supply of baseballs. And Mickey Hatcher back in the batter's box to await Hume's 2-2 delivery. Here it is. Struck him out swinging. Man, what a job by Tommy Hume. For the Dodgers in the last of the 9th inning, the tying run. No hits, 2 errors, 3 left, and going to the 10th at Dodger Stadium, the Reds 2 and Los Angeles 2. Here's Ronnie Oster. He's had a bunt single in 3 official trips to the plate, drew an intentional walk back in the 4th inning. Oster turning around at the plate against Howe, squares the bunt, pops it up, and it's going to fall away. The ball rolls to foul territory. The throw down to second, not in time. Steve Howe diving for the ball near the first base foul line, about 15 feet from the plate. The ball got off of his glove, rolled to foul territory. He's upset, and Ronnie Oster has been credited with a base hit. So the Reds got a pretty good break right there as Howe, trying to catch Oster's bunt that he popped up, could not handle it. And the Reds have 2 on and nobody out.
Marty, I was a little concerned about Ron Oster as Mike Socia looked like he was bumping Oster, and I thought maybe they might get involved with a little interference here, but now it's a good break for us, and we've had enough men on. Maybe we can take advantage of one this afternoon now.
Tommy Hume will bat for himself, and everybody in the ballpark knows exactly what he's going to be sent up to try and do as Socia talks with Howe, the rookie battery for the Dodgers, discussing the situation. So vitally important that Tommy Hume can get a bunt down good enough to get both Householder and Oster into scoring position. Now we think back earlier this season when the Reds came in here in a close one with Steve Howe on the mound and came up with a victory, tied her up in the 8th and won it in the 9th inning. Here's a stretch in the pitch. Oster and Hume's almost hit by the pitch. Tommy turned in toward the mound to bunt, and boy, Tommy Hume had to get out of there right now as Howe almost got him. The Reds beat Steve Howe back on the 16th of August here. He went 2 innings, giving up 4 hits and 2 runs in a game that he was brought on to try and save. That's the only decision he has against Cincinnati. The stretch in the pitch. Hume bunts third base side. They've got a play at third. Out. Throw across to first. Off the glove of the first baseman. Here comes Oster on to third base. So they got the force play on Householder at third. Ron Say to Pepe Frias. But Frias with a throw across the diamond to Davey Lopes, and it got away from the man at first and allowed Oster to go to third. There'll be an error charged to Lopes for allowing the throw from Frias to get by him and further permit Oster to go to third base. And now we'll have Johnny Bench to come to the plate and pinch hit for Sam Mejias. If you're scoring with us, score at a fielder's choice for Hume and score an error to Davey Lopes. The outplay at third base on Householder goes 5-6. Say to Frias. Oster moves to third on the error, and the Reds have him on the corners with 1 out. Johnny Bench hitting .261 with 24 home runs and 68 runs knocked in as a pinch hitter this season. Bench has gone 2 for 12. The infield looking for the ground ball. Steve Howe pitches, and Bench is hit by it. Johnny Bench hit by the first pitch thrown by Howe. It looked like it got him up around the left shoulder area. Ken Griffey, who's had 2 hits and an RBI and 5 times to the plate with the Dodger infield pulled in. Howe for the windup. And Griffey grounds one off the glove of Pepe Frias into center field. 1 run scores. Here comes Hume to the plate, and he's out. The Reds lead at 4-2 on a hot smash up the middle that appeared to take an unusual and unexpected hop. And Ken Griffey will be credited with a 2-run single, and the Reds lead by a pair.
For the Dodgers, running for Guerrero, number 1, Gary White.
Five-run lead for the Reds with 2 out in the last of the 11th inning. Dreesen will play behind the runner at first base. The pitch to Lopes. Swung on and hit in the air to right center field. Paul Householder waiting on it, and this one belongs to the Reds. In the 11th for the Dodgers, no runs, 1 hit, and 1 left. The Reds have swept the 3-game series today in 11 innings, defeating Los Angeles 7-2. We'll be back in just a moment. This one today was without question one of the more exciting games the Reds have been involved in all season long, and, well, it had a little bit of everything. Cincinnati, with Mario Soto quite obviously having outstanding stuff today, picked up the first run of the game in the 3rd inning off Dave Goltz when Ronnie Oster laid down a bunt third base side. Soto bunted him to second, and a 2-out single by Ken Griffey to right field made it 1-0 Cincinnati. The Dodgers tied it in the bottom half of the 3rd inning on a 1-out hit by John Stone, a double off the fence and left by Garvey, and a Dusty Baker sacrifice fly. The Reds went out in front in the 4th inning when Foster walked, Dreesen singled, and a later sacrifice fly by Joe Nolan got Foster home to give the Reds a 2-1 advantage. The Dodgers got a couple of hits, as we mentioned, in that 3rd inning, and they were not to get another base hit off of Cincinnati pitching until the 10th. But, of course, they tied it up on a weird set of circumstances in the 9th inning. The Reds, however, had numerous opportunities to really put this baby away in regulation time, having loaded the bases in the 6th inning with nobody out. Goltz pitched himself out of that jam, having 2 on with 1 out in the 7th inning, and Foster bouncing into a double play, leaving 2 men on base with only 1 out in the 8th inning, getting a leadoff double from Sam Mejias in the 9th, and later Dave Concepcion lining into a double play. It was 2-1 going to the last half of the 9th inning when Garvey was hit by a pitch to get the Dodger inning underway. Dusty Baker then laid down a bunt along the first base foul line. Soto and Nolan both came in on the ball. Soto picked it up, threw to first base, and throwing right into the runner, threw it away where Junior Kennedy was there covering. The pinch runner Jack Percotti came around to third base, was momentarily held up by Danny Ozark, but when Ken Griffey overran the ball in foul territory for another error on the play, Percotti came around to tie it up, and Baker was at third with nobody out, representing the winning run. At that point, Tommy Hume came on. Intentional walks were issued to Ron Say and Gary Thomason, and then Hume really went to work. He got pinch hitter Rudy Law on a fly ball to shallow center. He got Thomas on a ground ball to shortstop that Dave Concepcion momentarily bobbled before recovering and coming on to Nolan at the plate for a force on Baker, and sent the game into extra innings as he struck out pinch hitter Mickey Hatcher. In the 10th inning, the Reds went out in order against the lefty Steve Howe. In the bottom of the 10th, the Dodgers loaded them up again. John Stone with a 1-out single, a base hit by catcher Mike Scioscia, a walk to Baker, but then Ron Say popped up foul to Nolan, and Gary Thomason took a call third strike. We then go to the 11th inning where the Reds sent 10 batters to the plate and scoring 5 times. A leadoff single by Nolan. Householder came on to run for him. A bunt single by Ronnie Oster. Tommy Hume hit into a force play at third base of Householder, but the throw across to Davey Lopes was erred by the Dodgers second baseman, and Oster moved on to third. Johnny Bench then pinch hit for Sam Mejias, was hit by a pitch to load him up, and Ken Griffey came through with his 11th game-winning RBI of the year with a base hit off the glove of shortstop Pepe Frias to score 2. Dave Concepcion had a hit to knock in another run. George Foster was at the plate against new pitcher Joe Beckwith. He grounded to shortstop with another run coming home. Danny Dreesen single to center field. Another base hit by Junior Kennedy before Householder grounded out to end the inning. But all told in that 11th, the Reds scored 5 times on 6 base hits, and that, of course, proved to be enough, more than enough, to give the Reds a win in the game and a sweep in the series. Cincinnati had 7 runs, 15 hits, committed 2 errors, and left 12 aboard. The Dodgers had 2 runs, 7 hits with an error, and stranded 11. Hume, the winning pitcher, he's now 8-10. Howe, the loser, his record is 6-8. So the Reds and the Dodgers say farewell to each other. L.A. will remain home to meet the Atlanta Braves tomorrow night. The Reds will be heading north to San Francisco on a 6:30 flight out of L.A. International Airport to meet the Giants in the first of two at Candlestick tomorrow night. Mike LaCosse will go to the mound for the Reds after his 10th win of the season. The Giants will pitch rookie right-hander Al Hargesheimer. Again, our airtime for the pregame shows will be 10:05 Cincinnati time tomorrow night on most of these same stations. Again, the final score today in a game that took 3 hours and 43 minutes to play before a crowd of 43,716. The Reds in 11 defeat the Dodgers 7-2.